Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast with me, your host, the problem child, David Robinson. Today, I'm joined by two good friends of mine, as well as being local independent wrestlers working for AWW, Alternative World Wrestling. We would like to have more of these guys on, but to begin with, you've got their world champion, Axel Steele, and his tag team partner in Metal Militia, Donnie Sparks. How you doing, guys?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good.
I should probably direct to one of you. It'll get confused if not, would it? I should probably go back and forth. But
That's all right. He's the mouthpiece, isn't he? So
well, the
sometimes.
mouthpiece, also the world champion. So we'll start with you, Axel or Ant. What are we going with in terms of the interview? Do you mind?
Oh, we'll go with Axel. We'll go with
Let's
Axel.
go. So, Axel, what's it like being a world champion?
Interesting. Very
Yeah,
interesting. You never really think you're going to hit that kind of level for anybody, really. Look, most people who get into this, it's so a lot of people, it's a flash in the pan or a hobby, and when you get given something as a kind of an opportunity to do that, to recognise the work you put into, it's kind of surreal.
yeah.
Surreal.
How long have you been at AWW? Did you train with them, Axel, or did you have you been wrestling a long time? What's your kind of story in terms of how you got into wrestling and how long you've been wrestling?
So how I got into wrestling, I've always enjoyed watching wrestling. Growing up, watching all the Attitude Era, the likes of The Rock, Stone Cold, Undertaker, Triple H, all those guys. Your man who shall not be named, Kurt
Yeah,
Angle, and so on and so that kind of era. Loved all that, and I hadn't seen it for a couple of years. Yeah, Sky got a bit expensive.
yeah,
So one night, I'm round my partner's house at the time, and I'm flicking through the channels. WWE's on, and it's Bray Wyatt versus John Cena, and just it got me back into it.
yeah,
So I found a local indie show in Tipton at I think it was Allen Sports Bar.
yeah.
Um,
BCCW. I don't know if it was BCCW then, but yeah, I know who you're
I
talking
think it
about.
was FCW then.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't think BTCW were about then, but this is going
yeah.
back like 9 years.
Cool.
So I'll go there. I'll take my daughter, and she loved it. Absolutely lost her mind. And I found out these guys had a training school, and I thought, well, I'm going to go and be the hero for my little girl to cheer on.
Yeah,
So as mad as it sounds, I got home. I'd lost the details for this training school. It fell out my pocket somewhere.
yeah,
So go online searching for these schools, and I find AWW, which was a stone's throw away from where I was living. Go down there, and at the time, it was owned by Kevin O'Neill.
yeah.
He was the head trainer. He owned it. He put it on shows once a month, and started training there. I've been there as the home promotion ever since.
Okay. So if things would have worked out differently then and you hadn't lost that piece of paper, you might have had a very different introduction to wrestling and you would have been training at a completely different school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty
Well,
much.
yeah, it's worked out pretty well for you though. How
So,
about you, Donnie? Did you get into wrestling the same time as Ant? Have you got a similar story in terms of when you were you watching wrestling when you were growing up, or is it kind of later on that you got into it?
yeah, well, pretty much the same as Mr. Steele over here.
Yeah.
And watching through the late nineties Attitude Era. Obviously, to me, that's my favourite era of all time.
Yeah.
My first actual wrestling like show that I ever seen on TV was the night Owen Hart died. Actually, that pay
Yeah.
per
Yeah.
view, which obviously I wasn't aware of anything at the time.
Yeah.
Um, but one of the first memories I've got is listening to Jim Ross say that he's passed away and he's not part of the show.
Yeah.
And the main event for that was The Undertaker versus Stone Cold,
Yeah,
and
it
that
was.
captivated me. So
Yeah,
there was a lot of emotion there, but that main event, I was in. I was in for the ride then until
yeah,
about 2002, and then honestly, I stopped watching wrestling altogether all through high school, and it's only
yeah,
really since Instagram and
YouTube became as big as they are, and I started seeing more clips. And then to get into it, as all good stories start, I was drunk. I play football on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
After the match, ritual, go back to the pub, have a couple of drinks. It was around this time that I started bumping into Mr. Steele in the pub, and
Yeah.
he praised how good the wrestling was. Oh, I should come along. I'd really enjoy it. So I did put him off for about 6 weeks, and then I gave him, and I basically said, if I come training once, will you shut up about it?
Yeah.
He said, yeah, just come along once and see what you think. And then I went along to the training, not knowing what to expect, and just fell in love instantly. And I
Yeah.
looked back since, and that was 2018.
Yeah. So you've both been doing it now for, well, and longest for yourself, but even yourself, 5 years you've been wrestling. How long did it take for you to go from training to appearing in shows?
I was training for about 2 years. I was very inconsistent with my training for the first 12 months, on off, various things. I was working night shifts, rotating to day shifts at my day job. So some weeks I couldn't make it, some weeks I would, some weeks I was just that tired I didn't turn up. But when I started hitting it consistently,
Yeah.
and obviously the more you hit it, the better you get at it. So it was just shy of 2 years, and I made my debut at a Royal Rumble. And because I'm a complete and utter dick, I made sure I got a full entrance on my Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
I'd been practicing this entrance. It was kind of like a Chris Jericho thing where I just come out and I got my hands up in the air,
Yeah.
back facing the audience. Made my way down thinking this was amazing. I'm going to milk this for everything it's worth. And Kev went straight up after him, hit him with a few shots, got my little flurry on him, hit a splash. And then he just grabs me, puts me in the corner, bang, chop.
Yeah. Welcome
here's your initiation,
welcome to
lad.
the big time. Yeah. How about
But
your debut, Donny? Were you in a Rumble as well, or did you? Because obviously you guys are a tag team, and you have been for a few years. I know you haven't had too many kind of tag team matches for a while. Is that how you were introduced to the business? Did you come in as Ant's partner, or did you have a run on your own before that happened?
No, I came in as Adam's partner.
Yeah, Axel.
Basically,
Sorry,
yeah, sorry, Mr. Steele.
we've both done that.
Yeah, I was fast tracked.
Yeah.
So after a couple of sessions, the word got out that there was having a tournament for the new tag team titles.
Yeah.
In memory of Biohazard, who used to be a wrestler for AWW, and he sadly passed away.
Okay.
So they had a tournament like in his honour as a new tag champs. So they fast tracked me, and it was 6 months from my first training to my first actual match.
Okay.
And yeah,
there was a lot of work.
There was a lot of work put in that 6 months to get me ready, just to go out for that 15 minutes. But yeah, again, I ain't looked back since, and I do miss our tag matches.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we get a few more coming up soon.
I'm hoping so.
What was that like for you and the aftermath of that, Donny? You've been fast tracked. You've done this 6 months of more intensive training, and a lot quicker than it would have normally happened, I suppose, on the indies. But I take it you were getting pretty good reactions and responses off the back of that, because you've gone on and you've been a feature for AWW ever since.
Yeah, we was the lovable heels.
Yeah.
We started off, people hated us, and the more people hated us, the more people loved to hate us.
Yeah.
And we sort of won them over that way. It was more character work than the in-ring work.
Okay.
But yeah, it just seemed to just happen naturally, which I owe a lot to Mr. Steele and his gift for the gab.
Yeah.
It definitely helps. But yeah, it was just a wild ride to get to that point, and to then start progressing and getting the reactions from the crowd, because that's what it's all about. Whether it's negative or positive, as long as you're getting a reaction and they're going home happy.
That's what it's all about, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's for.
Obviously, Kev, I think, sold the promotion, and somebody else came in and bought him out. I'm not sure exactly what happened there. But what is it about AWW? You know, what's different about the company? What is it that you two guys love about it? And you know, you've been there a long time now. You know, there's lots of other different promotions popping up left, right, and centre all the time, but you guys have really been loyal and been there for a long time now. What is it about AWW that you enjoy?
Well, for me, it's a loyalty thing. There's an old saying: "Don't shit on your doorstep."
Yeah.
Kev gave me my chance,
Yeah.
and I'll always be grateful for that.
Yeah.
He had his own little ways, his own list of rules and guidelines that he wanted everyone to stick with. And he used to have this thing where you don't wrestle within this sphere, like this, what's the word? Circumference, I suppose you could say, a radius, because he wanted to protect his roster. He didn't want it to be oversaturated. People come to see me to see you. Why are they going to come to see you here if they can see you in Tipton, see you in West Brom, etc.? I get it. It's an old school mentality, but I get it.
Yeah.
So just sheer kind of loyalty, I suppose. You've trained me up. You've given me my opportunity. You've got me to the point where I can wrestle. I'll stick here and I'll abide by that. And when I do go out, it'll be further afield. I mean, how else are you going to get your name or your brand out if you only stay within 10, 15 miles? You're not. Yeah. So in a way, it kind of forced me to think, okay, where can I go to get that kind of growth as a character and get that kind of reputation as a wrestler, or a worker, as I suppose you could call it now.
Yeah.
So it made me look further afield, and we've done a few shows up and down the country, some set together, some separate. But just by having that kind of old school thing where I want you to be protected within this circle, made us look further afield, which was quite good. We got to meet some very good people on the road.
Yeah.
Then obviously Kevin O'Neill sells it up. New owner brings it in, and it's just like the best way I can describe it. Though, it's almost like a family feeling there.
Yeah.
Everybody supports each other in their training. Everybody helps each other in training. I've been asked now to help coach some of the younger guys, and I'm loving that. That is fantastic. I mean, that in itself has helped me improve.
Yeah.
Because I've had to kind of make sure what I'm showing these guys is good. I can't go and say, we're going to do this today. Oh, ballsed it up. I've got to know my shit. So it's made me better. But it's given me a lot. And I can't thank the place and the trainers, the owners enough. We've got Dave Mastiff there as a head trainer now, which has really changed the game. I mean, I don't think there's many schools in the area that can boast having a former WWE and one of the biggest indie stars the UK has ever produced as a head trainer.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, as you say. And talking of AWW, and in the past, you likes of Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate and a lot of other stars, particularly from the Midlands, have come through the company. I saw, talking about your seminars and training up new guys. I saw that you had Zach Zodiac there this past weekend.
Amazing.
What's it like getting people like Zach in and the Dave Mastiffs, as you mentioned, having those kind of guys come in and spend time with young performers as well, young guys and girls that are getting into wrestling, that want to be trained the right way, to have those type of names providing training for your future stars, that must be pretty cool.
It's amazing. And that's one of the great things about what's happening at AWW at the minute. He's more than happy to say, I'm going to book this special guest coach. I'm going to book this special guest coach. I'm going to bring these in for a session. I'm going to bring him in for one, and then he's going to be back in 6 months' time, or whatever it may or may not be. So we've got Dave Mastiff, who's doing the general training, showing me and the other trainer there how he wants us to perform, what he knows is going to get people noticed, what he knows is considered up here.
Yeah.
And then we've got these extra guys coming in, the likes of Zach Zodiac, Flash Morgan Webster, Eddie Dennis, Johnny Storm's been there. We've had Johnny Saint down there, Shah Samuel. We've had so many guys. I mean, even Bram. He's been down there in the past. Some massive names. And most of these guys who come and do these seminars, they'll say, I'm not saying this is how you should, because you've got your head trainer, but take what works for you. If you like what I show you and it can make what you've been taught alongside your head trainer better, that's going to work. And having someone like Zach in, he was amazing. The energy of the guy.
Oh, yeah. We had him on the podcast and he was just phenomenal. I've never spoken to anybody about wrestling that loves wrestling as much as he loves wrestling.
Yeah, you can see it emanating from him. And the best way I can describe it is the joy on his face when he sees somebody who doesn't nail something first time. As simple as a shoulder roll, We were going through some shoulder rolls, and we've got some guys who are pretty fresh, who haven't quite got it right,
Yeah.
and just got that special way of hyping you up. And when he just sees you improve, he jumps and he's shouting and he's going, "That's it, come on, let's go!" And
Yeah.
fantastic. The energy is unreal.
That's
And
awesome, but
just any improvements, he just gets the room going crazy. It's fantastic.
without going into kind of too much, because I know, and we'll talk about how guys and girls can get involved at AWW and how they can attend training schools if they wanted to. What else goes into like the training in terms of from the head trainer, the guest trainer? Are you working simply on in-ring stuff? Are you doing stuff in terms of promos? Are you doing stuff in terms of overall presentation? Or do you touch on a bit of everything within these training sessions?
So a lot of it depends on the trainer on the day.
Yeah.
Mastiff is very much all about getting your absolute fundamentals bang on the money. And some of the things he'll show us will just be like, I've never thought about it like that. Or you'll see something done on TV, but won't notice the intricacy.
Yeah.
And then he'll break it down and you'll just go, oh, I've seen that every week for 10 years and I've never spotted that.
Yeah. Yeah.
See it,
Yeah.
because then you see it every time. Then you're like, oh, I've seen that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The kind of sessions I like focusing on are more about ring awareness, positioning, and so depending, I'll do a lot of calling. Is the best thing I can call. We learning how to react in the moment.
Okay, that's always
Nothing
fascinating me. That is.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than thinking you know exactly how this match is going to go, top to bottom. You've planned X, Y, and Z. You get out there, and the crowd just goes,
Yeah.
yeah. So how can we learn to say, okay, the crowd's not reacting, boys? What are we going to do?
Okay, so on the fly in the match, calling it in the ring, if you like.
Yeah, changing things as you go. I mean, if you get hurt, what are you going to do? You can't do the match as you've planned it. You've got to change it.
Yeah.
Can you carry on? Yeah, I can, but we can't do this now. All right, what we do instead? It's that kind of thing, thinking on your feet. I mean, you've done a few of mine at this point.
Yeah, a fair few, too many.
Yeah. And Johnny, what is the kind of schedule for AWW? How frequently are you having shows? Where are those shows? Are you doing like is stuff going out onto YouTube? How can people access the content, I suppose, and see you guys in action if they can't get there face to face?
Yeah, well, at the moment, as far as I know, the YouTube's on the build up, like it ain't accessible yet. We're still going through getting the back catalogue updated and uploaded.
So the plan is to have some content that's going out on social media. Yeah. Okay.
The best way to get your product out there is to get it out there.
Yeah.
So places like YouTube, there is we am on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and the like.
Yeah.
And I do post little bits on there. Normally little snippets from the match, or if we've got OneFall who do our photography, they put pictures on from the match on the socials as well.
Yeah.
But as for the shows itself, I'm usually once a month. We have a bit of a break in the summer. July is the Hales Owen Carnival, which we're there every year.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's usually the first Saturday of the month, depending on May Day and Bonfire Night.
Okay.
So we've got a show coming up on the 11th of November, which we used to do the same weekend as Bonfire Night. But obviously, a lot of people would rather be watching fireworks than a couple of sweaty men fighting each other.
I don't know. I know what I'd rather be watching this is
This is true. When there's Metal Militia involved, it's different. But so we moved like stuff like that to a week later, so people can do both now.
Yeah.
And is it one that's not the option?
Yeah. Is it at Hales Owen Town Hall where you guys have is it all your shows are there? Or is it a mix of venues?
At the moment, all the shows are there. Before COVID, we was doing Tipton Sports Academy.
Yeah.
We ran a couple of shows from there, and we had a show booked in Bridge North.
Yes. I can't remember the venue for the life.
But it was the week that lockdown happened.
Okay.
That put that on the back burner, and at the moment we're just building back up just purely in Hales Owen.
Yeah.
But I'd imagine there is plans again to branch out for a special show here and there.
Yeah. And do you think under like the new ownership and stuff, and obviously there's a real boom period in wrestling at the minute. You know, people are comparing it to the Attitude Era, and I don't think we're ever going to get certain aspects of the Attitude Era again in terms of the amount of people that are watching wrestling live, particularly in the States. But there is certainly a massive buzz about wrestling, and a lot of independent wrestlers are getting booked up left, right, and centre to shows. Do you think there is an attitude within AWW to potentially work with other wrestling companies, or do you think for the time being you'll be doing your own thing and, as you say, bringing on your online content, establishing your newer stars and people that are kind of in training under your Axel and Dave Masters tutelage?
Well, I'm not sure whether he'd be working directly per se with other promotions. We do tend to bring other people in from other places. We do try to push our guys to go and wrestle at other places.
Yeah.
So that's the only way you're going to get better. You're going to get out there. And if you get out there and you have a storming match and people remember you, that looks good on us.
Yeah.
You know, we've helped you get there. But as far as like working alongside, who knows? I mean, that's an answer that the man who owns the keys can only give.
It's just interesting, is the whole landscape in wrestling in the past few years have changed with the introduction of AEW, I suppose, and really giving WWE some real competition. You've got Impact doing so well. You talk about Flash Morgan Webster. He's a guy that's, as far as I'm aware, still tag team champion over at Impact.
I believe so, yeah.
So, you know, some of your guys getting the opportunity to work with current Impact Wrestling tag team champions, that's just phenomenal. And you can really see the progression. You've got other guys like Millie McKenzie, Chris Brooks, people that are doing big things in Japan as well. So it's a really exciting time to be a wrestling fan. And I'm sure it's a really exciting time to be a wrestler.
I mean, yeah, especially here in the Black Country, we've had some great guys coming through, haven't we, Mr. Sparks?
We have
indeed.
Who are the guys that you got, other than you two, obviously? What other guys should we look out for in terms of independent wrestlers that are coming through the ranks at AWW?
We've got some really good guys coming through at the moment. Max Blaze, that kid has got something special. He really has. He's a young kid, and he's green around the ears, for one of the best way of putting it. Yeah. But you know, when someone's just got something, and you're like, mate, I wish I was training at your age. Maybe I could have been half.
Roughly, how old is he? Early 20s? Or?
No, not even that, teenager.
15, 16.
Is he?
Yeah. He's one of those guys.
Yeah. Is it Adam Jones? Is he? I was speaking to earlier. Is he Adam Jones?
Yeah. Yes. So he's known as the Smiler. He's a tenacious young lad. He's like, he loves it. Absolutely loves it. Again, he's young, he's learning, and you can see he's just going to get better and better and better. He's a character, kind of wrestler, the best way I can describe him. He's kind of like, best way of putting it, he's AWW's creative character wrestler. He wants to have some sort of big meaning behind everything he does.
Yeah.
So he's working on all that, and I think when he nails it, it's going to be great.
Yeah, definitely. The younger guys have got so much like heart, determination that they do it because they love it. They don't just do it for someone to do on the side. It's what they want to do. And I say, if we were their age and we had the opportunity, I probably would have jumped at it, even if I wasn't watching wrestling at the time. Because I mean, the likes of Edge and Chris Jericho and Angle, like, I idolised them. So if I knew at 15, 14 that, there's a school down the road, you could actually learn to do what they did, I'd have probably jumped at it.
I was talking to somebody the other day about this. You know, back in the time when I wanted to be a wrestler, you know, I'm going back to like 14, 15. And the only real opportunities at the time, from what I know, because you didn't have the internet then and it wasn't as well connected, you couldn't find things as easily. I remember, I think it was UK Hammerlock down in Kent, which seemed like the other side of the world for a kid at the time in Tipton that couldn't drive and had never been outside of the Black Country. But now with these type of schools on people's doorsteps and the awareness of them through social media, it's got to be really exciting for those young guys that you talk about to be able to go into a school like yours and learn how to wrestle.
Oh, without doubt. We've had so many faces coming in the last 12 months, and it's so rewarding when you see them come in, looking around sheepishly, and then they take that first bump outside. And they go, "This is good." They take that first bump in the ring. That surprises them.
Yeah.
That first one in the ring. Oh, and we've got a really nice ring. It must be said. Our ring at our training academy is a fantastic. It's a big 16-footer. It's really, really nice. Really well put together by the guys at Wrestling Rings UK. Checks in the post. But when you see them go from that to having the confidence to say, "Well, I want to do a springboard," and they jump up, they hit that top rope, and they go flying. So, I remember you taking that first bump and going, "Ah!"
Yeah.
And now you're throwing springboards out. You're out teching, some of the guys who've been here 5, 6, 7 years. It's fantastic to see.
What's the breakdown of male and female go? Because obviously in recent times there's been more a spotlight on the women's divisions. Really, AEW have had a bit of criticism of late. WWE actually doing really good and bringing in Jade Cargill, I think, so to boost their women's division. I noticed on the indies you get a lot of male versus female matches as well. That seems to be more of a feature of independent wrestling. And we've had some guys on that have had these matches and just talked about like the challenges, I suppose, to present the matches and not to create any controversy. Have you got many female wrestlers in, and do you have the intergender matches?
We haven't had any intergender matches. We've got some female trainees.
Yeah,
and a lot of the females are fresh because a lot of the girls who turn up, they're what's the best way of describing it? It's a very male-dominated sport.
Yeah.
So some of them come in, feel uncomfortable, and go back out as quick as they've got in. But it's one of those things like once they've stayed for like a couple of sessions and they feel comfortable and they realise, oh, we're part of the family.
Yeah,
that's when they start progressing and they get into it. We've had a couple of girls who've come through and gone on to go elsewhere, and they're doing their own thing now. We've got a few here at the moment who are training, learning really well so far. We've got Clairvoyant, who's one of ours at the moment. Came in, started training, did quite well. Took a lot of time to get to where she wanted to be. But she got such a great character. So she ended up being on shows as a manager, as a character, and she's done well with that. I think
she's the Smilers manager at the moment.
Yeah.
They're part of the Wicked.
Yes.
Wicked there.
The Wicked faction.
We also bring in the likes of Aluna Blue. She's been in. Is it Harley Hudson?
Yeah, Harley Faith as well.
Faith, yeah.
Alfie. Cat Von Cage.
Yeah, so we've had quite a few externals come in to either wrestle someone who's come through the academy or to put on a show between themselves, just so we have got that women's spotlight still.
Yeah.
We know Aluna Blue really well. She's appeared on some of the Ignite shows. I've seen her at BCCW as well. She had a no DQ match on Sunday up down at Ignite. Which was a new experience for her. I think talking to her before the match, she was quite nervous because it was just a new experience. But she went out there with a girl called Kira Chimera, and they absolutely smashed it. They had a great match. But that's great that you're kind of building that division as well. Not only do you guys train wrestlers, am I right in saying that you guys train referees as well and people that are looking to get into wrestling from a production point of view?
Yes. So we had a a referee seminar. Was that? I think it was last month.
Yeah, it was recent.
Yeah. So we got like one of the top indie referees in the UK to come down, and he's worked some massive shows. I think he's worked like some of the big shows as well. I think he's been America, loads of places. But we got him down.
Yeah.
And he went over what a referee should do, how to communicate to the wrestlers about specific things, and what kind of telltale things to look out for, checks to make, all this kind of stuff. So that was a really interesting experience. I mean, for the wrestlers as well.
Yeah.
Because some of the wrestlers don't know how important a referee is. A referee is like a major glue holding that whole thing together.
Yeah. In terms of kind of your guys' ambition for not only yourselves but for the company, Donnie, I'll come to you first. What is it that you guys take this very seriously? And yes, it's a hobby and it's something you do. You've both got regular jobs as well. But where would you like to get with your wrestling? Obviously, the sky's the limit for you for UK wrestlers at the minute and wrestlers worldwide. What is it that you guys want to do? Is it to step more into a role where you train in the stars of the future that like you touched on Axel, or is there opportunities that you want yourself within wrestling? You know, you've got plenty, you're still young and you've got plenty of time that you'll be between the ropes. So what is it that you want to do first of all, Donny?
I think at the end it'll be to start getting the younger talent over, because that's how wrestling stays alive.
Yeah,
Keep getting the new generations in through the door
yeah,
and keep improving them. But we were starting to, well, as individuals and as a tag team, and to get booked outside of AWW
yeah,
in 2019. But obviously, COVID it put that to a stop. So I would potentially like maybe over the next year or so start branching out a bit more,
yeah,
just for a personal thing, just to get on different shows, be in different locker rooms, wrestling different rings against different opponents.
yeah, yeah,
Just I think that's the enjoyment, and it's all a learning curve. So if I can wrestle someone I've possibly never heard of and have a great match and pick up a few tips, or if I could show them something and they think, oh, great, and they use that again,
yeah.
that's yeah, I think that'd be a good way to go. But I would like to branch out a bit more. And
Yeah. Well, you've got two things there, haven't you? You've got meeting people that you've never met before, you're not aware of. You know, they're perhaps starting their journey in wrestling or you just haven't crossed paths. But you've got guys coming over as well from the States and Japan doing independent bookings. I mean, we got Moxley at Wolverhampton in a few weeks, I think in October. You got Eddie Kingston over for a match against Luke Jacobs, I think down in London. That's coming up soon. So, as you say, by going into these different locker rooms, you never know who you're going to cross paths with and who you're going to end up in the ring with.
yeah, which is part of the journey.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, we've had like I say, we've had the likes of Bram. I know back in the day, Scotty Tuati, I think Hoover to
I
Guerrero.
think Scotty Too Hot's been over recently as well. Yeah,
We've had a few that have wrestled for us, and obviously, even if you're just in the locker room with them and not necessarily in the ring with them, they're a fountain of knowledge, and you've got to take what you can out of them. Try
yeah.
and be a sponge.
Have you got similar aspirations, Axel, in terms of getting on a few more shows and branching out more in the UK, or do you see your role? Obviously, you're a trainer as it is, so do you want to kind of develop that training role, or is it a bit of both for you?
A little bit of both. I feel I've got some unfinished business on the UK scene,
Yeah,
particularly, much like Mr. Sparks said earlier. We were just hitting some strides, and
yeah,
funnily enough, when Zach was down last week. I said I was booked against you. Me and my tag partner were booked against you and your brother, the Hooligans.
yeah.
And then lockdown happened, and that didn't
Oh
happen.
man,
I mean, in a way, I'm glad it didn't happen at that point because I'm nowhere near the wrestler I am now. I'd have been made a fool of.
no,
Let me
I'm
down.
sure. I'm sure it would
But
have been a good experience with Zach, but like you say, you're a lot more experienced now and got a lot more reps in, I suppose.
yeah, I mean, much like Mr. Sparks, I'd love to get back out there and get back in the ring with some different guys. I mean, maybe some of the bigger guys on the scene. I'd like to kind of challenge myself with a little bit.
Yeah,
Kind of, I'm a bit more confident in going out there now.
yeah,
But especially, I'd like to do some tag matches. I'd like to go to different companies with Mr. Sparks
yeah,
and lock horns with some guys up and down, and that'd be a good one for me. That'd be
yeah.
a fantastic thing, as well as continuing to develop the guys at home,
Cool.
and maybe even take some of those guys at home with us.
Yeah,
You know, say well,
yeah,
we're going down to, I don't know, let's think of somewhere, BEW or Carnival or whatever it might be, whatever promotion it might be. We're going down here, boys. Do you want to come down? They might not have a spot, but come down, get involved, enjoy the show, ask the promoter, speak to them. 'Cause that's a lot of what this is. You go, you speak to the guys. Can I help out? Yeah. Is there a space on the show? Such and such has just dropped out the rumble. Have you got your gear? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. 5 minute spot. Impress me.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of guys will do. If you just turn up and help out, they don't forget it.
Yeah. And as you guys know, we try and shine a bit of a spotlight on UK wrestling and independent wrestling, and we want more and more independent wrestlers on. So if there's anything we can do to kind of help you guys branch out and other guys, AWW and BCCW, that's exactly like we get great. You know, to hear your guys' experiences, we like live vicariously through you because we're the other side of the microphone, if you like. We're not taking the bumps. But for you guys to be sharing locker rooms with likes Dave Mastiff and Zach Zodiac, that is awesome. So congratulations on everything so far. It's been great having you both on. In terms of first, well, two things really to finish. One, how can people who are looking to get into wrestling to start training, or perhaps people that used to train even pre-lockdown, you know, they got into it, lockdown came, they haven't gone back to it, and they want to go and, you know, they've got unfinished business, they want to scratch that itch and they want to get back in the ring. How can they get involved with training at AWW? Are you actively looking for students at the minute, or are you at capacity?
We're always looking for students. We train Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. So we have a lot of sessions throughout the week. So there's always room for people to come and get involved, and different days have different trainers. But if you do want to come down and get involved at AWW, we are at Unit 8, Hillcrest Business Park in Dudley, and the postcode for that is DY2 9AP. Awesome. So we've got a fantastic facility, massive unit, 16-foot ring. We've got a gym facility in there as well. So if you can book the room out to hire the ring with one of the trainers to do one-to-one sessions in between if you want some more time individually, as well as the several sessions we've got throughout the week with trainers, including Dave Mastiff. Honestly, if you could do a Dave Mastiff session on a Monday night, do not miss out.
Well, I feel like people really need to make the most of that opportunity. Hopefully, I know Dave's fairly local, and hopefully he'll be at AWW for a long time. But at the same time, if he was recalled from an NXT or an Impact Wrestling, you wouldn't be surprised, would you?
No, not at all. The things he comes out with is just so phenomenal, and it's the silliest, tiniest little details, and it's those silly, tiny little things that make you go from a wrestler there that people go, oh, he's quite good, to the guy up there and go, he's shit hot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Awesome. And in terms of your upcoming show, the next show, if people like, such as myself, I want to come down to your next show and watch, and hopefully see you both in the ring, whether that's as a tag team or individually. When's your next show coming up?
Hopefully a tag team.
Hopefully. Our next show is Saturday, 7th of October, again from the Hales Owen Town Hall.
Yeah.
The doors open at 6. The show starts at 6:30. You can get tickets on the door on the day, subject to availability.
Okay. Best to get them in advance, though. Yeah,
you can go to eventbrite.co.uk, and then you can look for the show through there, and then you can get your tickets.
Okay. Awesome.
And
yeah.
Is it family friendly, guys, or is it more of an adult audience at these shows?
No, it's very family friendly.
Awesome.
Fun for the whole family. There's it's not so much blood and guts.
But
it's just
going to different, and really this year I've really stepped it up since I've been involved with the podcast, going to more and more independent shows. I love the fact that there's families there, and you've got kids that are kind of 5 and 6, and there's grannies and granddads in their 80s and 90s, and everyone in between, and everybody is loving the show. And with the show on Sunday, there was an elderly lady in there, and she was shouting at one of the wrestlers, leave him alone, leave him alone. And I just absolutely loved it. The fact that the whole family can go and have really what you would say is a really cheap night out as well. I know kind of everyone's got to watch what they're spending these days, but you know, if you can pick four tickets up for 40, 50 quid, that's really good value and a great night out for the family.
Fantastic, yeah. I think our tickets are usually £8, £9. £8. So £8. You take more notice than me. So the £8 per ticket, it's a no-brainer. You get 2 hours plus of wrestling entertainment. We have in-ring photos, merch all over the place.
Licensed bar for the adults.
Licensed bar for the adults. It's great.
For
And
everyone.
again, you've got the women with the sticks going, "No, scoundrel," and the kids going, "Mr. Sparks."
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing is, you know, that's the next generation of you performers coming through right there, isn't it? The kids that
Exactly
it is
that.
so accessible. And to have kids going to your shows and watching you guys and one day to be in the ring with you guys that have inspired them to start training in the first place, that is like must be pretty rewarding for you as well. So
Oh, yeah. I mean, we actually have kids training facilities. I mean, you know all about this.
Yeah. During the school holidays,
yeah,
there's usually 1 to 3 days where they'll put on training for kids.
yeah,
So kids from, is it 4 and above? No, 6 and above.
6 and above.
6 and above can come along. They can have an actual training session. They get in the ring and they do a bit of promo work, character work. They get to make friends with all people with like-minded hobbies and interests, i.e. wrestling. And they get to have a little match at the end. So
yeah,
it's the stepping stone to get them ready for when they turn 14 and they can come along to the actual training.
yeah.
They sell out the summer, well, I sort of call them summer school, the holiday camps.
Yeah.
They do sell out rather quick because of that. They're that popular.
That's awesome to hear as well, because as I say, we're advocates for all wrestling. We like it all. We get into little disputes on the show about AEW and WWE and certain performers, but we're just wrestling fans. So to obviously know some of you guys and to be involved to a degree at Ignite, we don't book shows or anything like that, but we're there, you know, we're doing the podcasting stuff, and it's been like a great journey for us as well. And as I say, if any of your kind of colleagues, any of your fellow wrestlers would like to jump on a podcast at some, because we've had some guys that haven't done any podcasting at all. So just helping to hone their skills in this environment, we'd be more than willing to help out. But thank you so much for your time, lads. And I'll see you in Hail Zone in a couple of weeks' time.
You shall indeed, sir.
Thanks everyone for checking out our podcast. We'll be back soon. We've got a Raw review going out tomorrow. We've got a Dynamite review coming up Thursday. We've got a number of guests coming up soon, including Raven. We're talking to Maven actually tomorrow. You haven't got to rhyme with Raven or Maven to get booked on this show, but we've got both of those coming up for you. So nothing left to say other than buckle down and stay safe.
Take care.